What's up, you guys? Teddy Striker here, and I just watched UFC 324 and Justin Gaethje beats Paddy Pimblett in the main event. And the key takeaway from Justin Gaethje is champions move forward. That was his whole motto throughout his training camp and on the fight. That's how it played out. He was moving forward from the belt, getting in Paddy Pimblett's face, and wow, this guy was really coming to win that belt. I mean, Justin Gaethje was hurting Paddy Pimblett. Obviously, Paddy isn't really that good defensively, but Paddy has the heart of a champion. He can take some massive damage and beat down on rounds and still come back. I believe it was in the third round. He was coming back after getting really beat down pretty bad in rounds 1 and 2. And he was able to find his jab and stay in the middle of the octagon and really stand up to Justin Gaethje and fight back and show him that, hey, I'm still alive, I'm still in this fight. But Gaethje made the adjustments in round 4 and 5 to kind of move away from the jab of Paddy Pimblett and keep him against the fence where he was hurting really, really badly. And Justin Gaethje was really just a predator in there. He was just hunting Paddy Pimblett down the whole time, walking him down, throwing power shots. And Gaethje, like at first, I was a little bit worried of how he was fighting. I felt like he was headhunting quite a bit, but he was able to settle himself down. He was picking his shots a lot better, and he was getting to Paddy Pimblett like whenever he wasn't, being too aggressive. He was being aggressive, but he was very calculated in there, and that Gaethje was dangerous. Like, he was taking the shots of Paddy, and I was a bit worried about his chin, like going into the Fiziev fight because of the Max Holloway KO. But it seems like Gaethje is back, and he fought a little bit like his old self, like by just pressing forward, but he had the IQ and the defense of the newer version of Justin Gaethje. It was a really solid performance from Justin Gaethje, and yeah, Paddy, I think him versus Dan Hooker makes sense. They both, well, actually, never mind, because I believe that Dan Hooker is fighting BSD next week, and I think that BSD is going to beat Dan Hooker, so I think you could do Paddy Pimblett versus BSD. And as for Justin Gaethje, well, he's going to fight Ilia Topuria now, and I don't think that's going to go too well for Justin, but I do think he can give Ilia Topuria some problems. I think he's going to be throwing some heavy punches. I think he's got to utilize his jab, his leg kicks, and his movement against Ilia, be a bit more of a matador compared to going forward, because if he goes forward like he did, I do think that Ilia Topuria will get to him really quickly and put him away really quick. And I think Ilia said he could return anywhere from April to June, and because Justin Gaethje is American, he's probably going to be fighting Ilia on the White House. So I think we're going to see a pretty good fight in June. And to be fair, Gaethje did take a little bit of damage. It was a 5-round fight against a very dangerous guy. And yeah, good performance from Justin Gaethje. And he's right, champions do move forward. And then in the co-main event, we had Sugar Sean O'Malley break his losing streak by beating Song Yadong in a competitive fight. Song Yadong was able to land some really good leg kicks early on in the fight, limiting Sean O'Malley to mainly the southpaw stance, and he was able to get some takedowns. But Sugar Sean O'Malley showed his championship experience, and he was able to really pick things up towards the end of the fight and land some really clean shots. I mean, this guy looked really fast. I didn't expect him to be that much faster than Song Yadong, but overall, Sean O'Malley looked really good. And me personally, I would like to see Sean O'Malley fight Umar Nurmagomedov, but that's not going to happen. So I think the next best option will be Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen, sometime maybe at the White House card, and then he can fight the winner of Pidion versus Merab, because he's talked quite a bit about wanting to fight at the White House card, and I think Pidion and Merab is probably going to happen sometime near April or May. And yeah, they definitely won't be ready for June. So I think let's keep O'Malley active. Let's build his momentum back up right and have him take on Corey Sandhagen or Umar Nurmagomedov. And then there was Derek Lewis versus Waldo Cortes Acosta, and this fight ended a little bit weird. At first I thought, wait, there's no way Waldo chopped him with that jab, right? But no, it turns out Derek Lewis actually slipped, and then he didn't really have any urgency to get back up to his feet, and Waldo took advantage of that, and he ended him with ground and pound. Overall, this fight, Waldo fought it smart. He knew the power that was coming his way. He was attacking the legs really well, finding his jab, and moving away from the big shots of Derek Lewis, and he did well. And I think if Tom Aspinall can't come back anytime soon, let's have a fight between Waldo and Cyril Gane, and the winner of that fight can take on Tom Aspinall if he ever returns to the octagon. But then there was also Rose Namajunas taking on Natalia Silva, and this was actually a close fight early on. I did think that Rose was going to win, but she lost, and that first round was really close. The second round went to Rose, and the third clearly went to Natalia Silva. But watching live, I thought the first round went to Rose. I could be wrong though. It was really, really close. Both girls are really trying to find their range and not really giving too much activity out there. It was really like close and competitive. I believe it was like 11 strikes to 12. A very close round. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 10-10 or a 9-9 round. Ultimately, I did feel like Natalia Silva showed she was the better fighter in that third round. She was fighting extremely hard. She was going after Rose, and she had a massive speed advantage. I did not expect her to be that much faster than Rose, considering that Rose used to be a former strawweight, so she's moving up weight class. Whereas Natalia Silva has been, at least in the UFC, she's been a career flyweight, and she still was extremely fast out there. And I think her versus Valentina Shevchenko should be next. And as for Rose, she should fight Alexa Grasso. I think that's a good matchup for her. They were supposed to fight, and I think she can bounce back by beating Alexa Grasso. And for Natalia Silva, that's going to be a tough fight against Valentina, but very interesting though with her speed and her kicking ability. And on the main card, we also had John Silva versus Arnold Allen. John Silva went out there and he beat Arnold Allen by a 29-28 decision victory. I did feel like the first round went to Arnold. He was landing a lot of good kicks, using his jab really well, and not really giving John Silva any openings. He had a really strong guard. He was really dynamic. But as the fight went on, John Silva started to adapt. He used those little pivots that Arnold Allen would use to move away from the left hooks to almost trip Arnold Allen, but he wasn't really able to Allen on the floor, but he was able to off-balance him and lead to more strike openings. And as the fight went on, he really showed how good he was with all his attacks. His diversity is really incredible to watch, to be honest. And I would like to see him fight Movsar Evloev. I feel like that's a fight that's going to happen. I think Lerone Murphy is going to fight in March, and it's either going to be against Movsar Evloev or Aljamain Sterling. And I think it's going to be Aljamain Sterling, so I think Movsar versus John Silva makes sense. Let's have him maybe fight in April as a main event. And then depending on whoever gets the best performance, that's who gets the next title shot. But overall, this is a really solid card, especially the main event. And I think Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria is actually going to be a fun fight. And I just can't wait to see Ilia back in that cage. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. God bless.